Guys, what's up? Just gonna give this a second, just make sure we got the camera right and everything, make sure we got people in. Bring you guys a lot closer. In fact, gonna bring you even closer than that. Oh, sorry, I've got the squeakiest chair. Guys, sorry about the chair. Jeez. Pascal, hey, how you doing, man? Just seeing you there. You guys had a funny echo there. Let me turn that down for you. There you go. Got people coming in. There's another Rob. Rob, I like your name. Name of champions. Artem from Russia. Hey, man, from Russia. Awesome. Guys, got my massive drink in the way. Move that out of the way a little bit for you. Peter, how we doing? Looking forward to getting back to the sports park. 100%, man. 100%. Yeah. So we've got. So where are we? I think there's a couple of pre-season bits, like in September. And then the first actual game, I think, is the 24th, I think it might be. London Lions, a big one as well, right? Looking forward to that, definitely. Just going to bring you guys in a little bit closer, actually, if I can. Let's see how that looks. You wonder why I'm looking down there? It's because I've got you up here, but I'm looking on the screen down here. That'll do. Nice. So we got 11 people. That'll do me. The 11 best people, I bet, right? 10 people now. Someone left. Unbelievable. That's all right, though. Nice. Cool. Hit that like button, guys. Come on, if you're in the chat now, hit that like button. Let's get this video going. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes before we actually start chatting too much. Let people join in and see if people want to get into the chat. Haven't even got, look at that, the likes have just jumped up. Thank you, guys. Haven't even really planned up kind of what this is going to be, really. My thoughts were just to go live, have a bit of a chat with you guys, see how we get on. I just turned that the wrong way. I'm looking at a mirrored image, that's why. There we go. Adrian, how you doing? Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Peter, well done on the 10K. Thank you, man. Thank you. Scott, how you doing? Yeah, so look, why we're here, right? 10,000 subscribers. Unbelievable. I mean, I made a joke with the guys in our Facebook group via our Patreon page, as Pascal, we know, we kind of set some objectives last year. And one of those objectives was to try and get to 10,000 subscribers. And that was a crazy goal, something which I deliberately set as like a big stretch goal. And we didn't achieve it last year. But this year we have, and I've got to say, it's a lot quicker than I thought we would. The channel grew fairly well off the back of a couple of pretty successful videos, which really kind of took off a little bit for me back in April time. So that gave us a big chunk of subscribers. But 10,000 is crazy, right? I really didn't think that we would get that. So it's so good. And, I just thought I'd go live, bit of a chat, really, Q&A. You guys, I'm sure if you guys ask questions along the way, I'll make sure I try and pick those up. I'm sure we'll get a few people join us as we go along. It's 9 o'clock in the evening here in the UK. I tried to do it at a time that's not too late for some of you guys. I know some of you guys probably in Europe's a little bit later. I would imagine Artem, I hope I'm saying that right, Artem. In Russia, you're probably an hour or so later than us, a couple of hours probably. And any of you guys who are in the States out there, you're probably behind us. So I tried to get a time that kind of worked for as many people as as possible. But yeah, awesome. So what we got? Scott, I think I said hello, man, already. I hope I did. Rob, what's the plan for you next? And big well done. Thank you, man. What's the plan? Well, look, honestly, the plan's just to carry on doing what I'm doing, Rob. Just gonna try and make good videos. Hopefully people enjoy them. Obviously carrying on all my photography stuff. Back doing a lot more of that now, which is good. You know, a lot more of the sports stuff and things that I wasn't able to do for a period of time are back now, and we're doing some of those. I was fairly lucky in the way that the obviously the period of time when I wasn't able to be there wasn't as short as, like, you know, a lot of people you know, who weren't able to go and watch the sports. Obviously they let like media and photographers in before the fans were allowed back in. So like Peter, for example, down at Scorchers will know. Ethan tuning in from New Zealand, man. Wow. God, what time is it in New Zealand, Ethan? Let us know in the chat, man. Wow. Pascal, what were these successful videos? So so my two successful videos, one, if I'm honest, I kind of thought it would be fairly successful. I thought it would be interesting for people, was the video I did where I compared the 70 to 200 RF lens with the EF version, using the adapter to see what people thought of that adapter, or more to the point, to see if the adapter kind of worked as well as using the EF lens. And that video has been really successful. That's actually now my most watched video on my channel. I think it's just under 50,000 views, like 49,000 views I think that one is, which is crazy. And then I've got the other one was one which I made just for a bit of fun, really. It was a video about the R7 where I talked about like the rumors of the R7 and some of the rumored specs that it was going to have. And that video, I couldn't believe it. So that video hit 10,000 views in its first 2 days. So I think that was I think it got like you know, put onto a recommended section on YouTube or something like that, and it just absolutely flew in the first 2 days. And now it's just behind the other one, so I think that's on like 48,000 views. But about a quarter of those views were in the first few days of that video going live. So that was really crazy, and I got a lot of subscribers, probably about, you know, 1,000, 2,000 from each of those two videos. So yeah, that was crazy. Let me try and catch up with some of this chat here. Ethan, 8 a.m. Wow, man, 8 a.m. Thank you. So you're in the future, Ethan. That's tomorrow morning, right? Bents, hey Bents, I hope I'm saying that right, Bents. What do you think about auto ISO? Are you using it? Yeah, man, I use it sometimes. It depends a little bit, really. Like if I'm doing like an indoor sport like basketball, where I know the lighting won't change, I tend to set my ISO so I have my settings, you know, locked in, because I know the lighting won't ever change. Whereas especially this time of year, if I'm shooting like an evening game where it's light to start with and it's just gradually going to get darker through the course of the game, then I will use auto ISO, because otherwise it's too much of a pain to be, you know, every 10 minutes having to reassess and adjust it. I do auto ISO, have my shutter speed and my aperture locked in so that I can just, you know, roll doing that. So yeah, I do use it sometimes if I feel the situation is right. Scott's saying, looking at getting some semi-pro football accreditation. How high up the ladder would you start? It depends what you mean, man. I suppose, look, I guess the reality is you'll start however high you can, right? You know, if you've got a local team or something like that you can get in with, you know, then fantastic. You know, a lot of people will start at like non-league, but if you get contacts in like a, you know, a League 2 team, then you might better get in. Anything in the Football League though, so the EFL, you'll need to make sure you've got the right insurance and all that kind of stuff, so it does get a bit harder. You just got to go with whatever you can, man. You know, it'd be good to photograph. Oh, okay, so sorry, man, you've also to photograph blue square. So yeah, getting something like that, man. Just best thing to do is contact the teams directly, have a chat with them, see what we can get in for. Mike, 3 p.m. in the States. Awesome, man. I imagine it probably varies a bit, right? You must have, there's at least a couple of time zones across the States, right? So it probably varies a bit. 3 p.m. though, cool. No NIS. Any news about the Canon R7? No, I haven't got any more news on top of what you guys will have, right? Funnily enough, I filmed another R7 video today, so we're going to be talking a bit about that when that goes live in a few days. But no, it sounds like probably early 2022 now we'll get the R7. The rumors now seem to be 32.5 megapixel sensor. That's about it. I would assume the autofocus system and everything will be the same as the R6. I would guess. Mark, there he is. Boom. Thanks. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that, man. Really appreciate it. You guys probably, Mark Curtin in the chat, you guys probably know him. A lot of you guys will subscribe to his channel, I'm sure. If you haven't, you should do. Me and Mark have done a video together. We keep on talking that we'll do another video together soon. Maybe we'll go do a vid where he teaches me how to photograph some woodland or something, because that always looks pretty interesting what he's doing on his vids. I need to get out there and do something like that. Rob, thanks for the tips you give me, and now start my journey. Cool, man. Good. Look, Rob, I'm real pleased, right? That's a big part of what I try and do the channel for. Is I enjoy that, like, helping people out and giving people, some advice. I made that video the other day, the 7 shades of photographer, right? Tried to do something a bit different with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Just tried to add a little bit of comedy. I put so much work into that video. That took me like, God dear, hours compared to filming a normal video. That was crazy, but yeah, no, I enjoyed it. That was a good one. And probably myself, I'm probably the teacher, in there. So yeah, absolutely. What else have we got? Mike. Got the i5 coming, but no mirrorless glass yet. Okay. Does the adapter work well with the 70-200? Yeah, man. Look, I mean, go check out that video I did, but long story short, yeah, the adapter works like flawlessly, like really, really good. Scott, you've been in touch with Halifax. Awesome. Gnarly Oaks, absolutely. Gnarly Oaks, Mr. Curtin, 100%. J-Rock, come on, man. Why did you skip me? I don't know what you... Oh, wait, man, you mean like a comment or something? Oh, sorry, man, if I missed you. I didn't see it up there. Sometimes the chat, like, moves a bit. So sorry if I missed you. No, I can't see, man. I can't see it on my feed, man. I'll ask it again, Jay, whatever your question was. Don't worry, I'll pick it up. Michael, started watching you with the 7D Mark II. Cool, okay. But I caved and got the R6. All right, yeah. I think a lot of 72 users will be probably looking at that R6 now. Maybe the R7 when it comes out soon, right? Texas, nice, man. Awesome. Peter, must come see you at SSP. Yeah, man, absolutely. Come down, say hello. Apologies, Peter. I feel like we've met somewhere, right? I recognise your name. I'm sorry if we have and I've not registered it. But yeah, man, make sure you say hello when we're down there. Mr. T, another photographer who I've seen is getting out and about. Congrats on the 10K. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really do. J-Rock, I feel bad that I missed whatever your comment was, man. But I'm not seeing it on here yet. Oh, hang on. This filter says top chat. Let's see if I change it to all chat. Does it give me more comments? Let's have a look. Oh, it does. Right, okay, now I got it. Oh, geez, there's a lot more in there. Now, if it turns out I missed a few, let's have a look. Okay, looks like J-Rock's going to be getting kicked out of our chat. I can see why why his chat didn't show to me the first time. Right, sorry about that, guys. Just dealing with somebody. Okay. Right, what else we got? Hang on, my chat's all gone funny. Let me get it back again. Here we go. Rob, now work with Grassroots Club and I hope to start basketball team. Nice. Any tips on basketball? Yeah, well, man, look, I've done lots of videos with tips on basketball, right? So make sure you go and check out my videos about basketball. I've done videos on like positions for basketball, I think, and a few other bits too. So make sure you go check those out. I'm gonna try my best to share the basketball thing. But what would my biggest tips would be try and sit near the corner, especially if you're starting out with basketball. I find sitting near the corner the best. You might find if you're doing grassroots, I guess you probably mean kids. So you might find it's better sometimes to sit in a little bit nearer the basket, but because they're not going to be like as high flying as like pros, when you're out by the corner, you can get a slightly better view and maybe get the basket in shot as well. Whereas, of course, with the pros, where they're jumping much higher, your angle tends to be that you can get the basket in the frame too. Whereas with kids, you don't, because they're not getting up there so much. So you tend to be out by the corner, can give you a slightly better view. That would be my main advice, I reckon, with photographing basketball. Gosh, sorry, got to keep drinking my squash. Right, what else we got in here? Let's have a look. Mark saying, is photography a good career path choice? Look, Mark, I think that really depends, right? Look, if you enjoy it and you love it, then man, of course it is, as is everything, right? If somebody enjoys and loves being an accountant, then that's a fantastic career choice for them. I think you've got to see how you go, right? I mean, look, I do a lot of photography work. I do other non-photography work too, and you just got to do whatever you enjoy, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Is if you're looking at making your millions, then is photography a great career choice? No, it's probably not. But look, there are photographers who do make millions, whether it's through photography or YouTube or whatever else they might do. There are photographers who make a hell of a lot of money, so you can. It really just depends on what you want to get into, right? Artem says, Rob, I can. You can what, man? You let me know. Unless it's further back up the chat again, I don't know. I didn't realise I had that chat filtered. Let me have a quick look and see if I missed any other questions up here. What do we have? No, I don't think we did. No, I don't think I missed anything. We're all good. Right, what do we got? Artem saying, Rob, I can't. Oh, I can't is okay. Sorry, man, you were saying I can't. Rob, I can't decide R6 or R5 for my soccer and handball shoots. Is R6 enough for cropping and overall? Yeah, man. Look, so for me, I think sports is definitely for the R6 is definitely enough for sports. I think people worry too much about the 20 megapixel sensor. The reality is the 20 megapixels is a lot, and you can crop still a fair old bit with that. Like if I'm doing sports and I've had something like a goal celebration in the far corner and I've had no choice, I've had to crop like right in tight, then sometimes I do, and that involves me knocking out probably half the frame. So so you think about how much I've knocked that right down, and the images are still fine. So 20 megapixels is enough, definitely. But if you're doing something like landscape or weddings and something where that resolution and those those extra pixels really become a bit more important, then yeah, look, it's not as good a choice, as maybe something like the something like the R6. Right, let's have a look. What else we got? Joe, hi Rob, I'm amateur sports photographer. Many games are mainly in the bright sunshine, depending on the time and location. Okay, cool. How do you get the settings right because of bright and dark? So yeah, so Ben, I guess you probably, Joe, you probably mean like like maybe if your action's going like in and out of shade or something like that. In which case, look, really the best way to do it, if you don't want to keep adjusting your settings, is going to be to you know, jump back and forth between, like, you know, get your shutter speed locked in, get your aperture locked in. Then something like auto ISO will help you out a fair bit in that type of situation. It really depends, because if you try to adjust as you're going and it's constantly changing, it gets a lot harder. But at the same time, you know, if you have that auto ISO and you're jumping in a sort of, you know, bright light or shade, that will certainly help. If you just mean that like it's too bright, in the middle of the daytime, the best thing to do is whack your shutter speed up, get your shutter speed higher, you know, 1/250th, 1/600th, something like that. You know, and that will reduce your exposure. Mark, I enjoy it. I'm doing it at college sometimes, second guess myself. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, Mark, look, man, if you're doing it at college and you enjoy it, then go for it, right? Go for it. Look, especially if you're young, man, that's the time to try out different jobs, right? Give it a go and see how you go. That's all you can do, really. There's no point you know, there's no point holding yourself back. We got Joe, thank you, no worries, man. Got lots of highs coming into the chat, lots of, sorry guys, there's a little bit of spam in the chat by the looks of it. Don't worry too much about that. We'll ignore that. You look terrible. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's nice of you. What else we got down here? Have a quick drink, actually. God, I feel like I'm losing my voice already. Don't worry about the bot comments, Michael. It's fine. We can take those out afterwards. Don't worry about that. Whenever you go live, there's always a risk that you get some of that. It's all good. You can't do this type of thing, make videos on YouTube and do live chats and stuff and worry about people putting funny comments in your stuff. It is what it is, right? No need to worry about that. Darren, hey Darren, how we doing? Darren's another sports photographer out there doing his bit. Congrats on the 10K. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate it. Jedi, big fan of the show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. What do we got here? Giacomo, I hope I'm saying that right, man. How many photographers do you have on the pitch on a usual Premier League game? That's a good question. So it depends quite a lot, right? Sometimes if you're at, like, you know, one of the lesser games, then it might not be too many. Like, you know, you could get as few as, you know, a few each end, 3, 4, something like that. But with some of the you know, some of the bigger games, like I've been at games where, you know, Premier League games where there's been 30 photographers, something like that. But I've done bigger ones. I did a Champions League game where there were probably about 60, 70 photographers, which sounds crazy, right? And of course, all that changed over the course of the last, like, you know, year or so. I did a championship game last week where there were like probably 8 of us, 4 of us each end, something like that. So yeah, you know, it varies a fair bit. Lewis, do you want to go to the Olympics in France? Man, look, I'd love to go to the Olympics in France. I'd love to, Lewis. 100% I would. Are you planning to? Right now, it's probably not so much like you know, it's not really so much just like a choice of whether or not I want to go. It depends a little bit on whether or not someone would want me to go work for them photographing it, whether or not, you know, my agency or whatever would be able to get in there. So it depends quite you know, it depends quite a lot. But yeah, absolutely, it would be. Hang on, sorry guys, I'm just putting a couple of these people blocked out of the chat because it's not helping any of you guys. There we go. So yeah, it depends on. I'd love to go photograph an Olympics, and Olympics is probably right up there with, like, you know, the World Cup in terms of, you know, the things to photograph. World Cup, Olympics really are probably the big two, right? It's crazy. Those kind of events, I would love to, but it just depends. If I get an opportunity to, man, 100%, you bet I would be there. I would absolutely love it. Right, what else do we have? What's Michael saying? Let's have a look. Michael, I photo RC cars with the R6 and I'm working servo focus mode. Okay, but since it's not animals or people, would it be beneficial to disable eye detection? Oh, okay. So yeah, look, I do disable eye detection if I'm not going to be, like, actively using it. Yeah, I do. So It depends a little bit. I've used eye detection when I've been shooting like portraits and stuff like that, but normally when I'm shooting sports, I turn it off. And in fact, I don't tend to. I say I don't tend to because sometimes I do, but I don't tend to use the facial recognition focus when I'm shooting sports. I tend to use the center, like center point. So yeah, look, I mean, there's no right or wrong, but probably I would probably turn that off if I was going to be shooting. I guess you mean remote control cars, right? RC cars, I would probably turn it off. What else have we got? Bellin, hi from Norway. Hey man, Norway, awesome. Guys, so good. We've got people from all around right in here. It really is crazy. Crazy. Artem, thank you. No, just sports, but one time a year I do studio photo shoots for 3 local sports teams. Cool, man. Awesome. Awesome. Tried the Canon R for last. I'm surprised with the quality. Yeah, the Canon R was really good, right? So I got hold of a Canon R in the first lockdown. So a couple of reasons. Honestly, partly so I can make a few videos about it, but also because I wanted to try out the Canon mirrorless system. Really, really impressed with it. Really enjoyed it. It's had that, in fact, Artem just said it in there. Yeah, so it's got the 45 megapixel sensor, or 40 megapixel, maybe it was the EOS R. So good. I'd have used that for sports, absolutely. But at the time, it wasn't really quick enough for sports. The autofocus wasn't really quick enough. The autofocus was, the frame rate wasn't really quick enough. And then, of course, the R6 gave me a different option. Tim, congrats on the 10K. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. I'm glad you learned a lot, especially on the Osmo Action. Yeah, so Osmo Action, those videos will keep coming. I hope we will at some point get an Osmo Action 2. And when we do, I will try to get hold of one soon as I can, and I'll make a series of videos about it. So Osmo Action will still be a part of my channel, absolutely. I've got it. It's on the shelf up here behind me somewhere. I definitely will be, will be using that. I still use it now. You guys hopefully will get like a more vlog style video from me out at a game soon. I know you guys like those ones. And a lot of that will be filmed with the Osmo Action. So whenever I'm out and about, I tend to film my vlog stuff with the Osmo Action. We got Lewis is saying, does your agency cover hang on, God, the chat just jumped to lost. Here we go. What did you say? What did you say? Sorry, Lewis. Does your agency cover these big international events? Yeah, man, they do. They do. The agency I work with now, I've only been with them since last year, and so we haven't really had a chance at, big international events. So mainly because the numbers have been so restricted. But yeah, absolutely they do. They do. The agency I work for now has covered a World Cup before. We did cover the Euros, so we had one of our photographers at the Euros games. It wasn't me, unfortunately, but look, that's all good. Joe, I have a Canon 700D. Cool. Usually cover women's games. I feel they need the support. Okay, cool. And yeah, man, they do. So I've shot some women's football. I've shot Chelsea women's team before. I can't remember who it was against, and I've shot the England women's team. Yeah, look, women's football is getting much bigger, right? Especially in this country, and and a few other countries too. The States, it's growing a lot. And the standard is so good. I mean, it really does deserve to be in the spotlight. So yeah, I'm sure I will be. We'll be photographing some women's football through the course of this season. Yeah, I'm sure. Michael, yes, remote. Okay, cool. They are remote control. I thought so. RC cars is remote control cars, right? I didn't want to make an idiot of myself. Freelance work or go work with an agency to get to pro level. It depends. It depends what you want to shoot, right? You're going to have to, in reality, sometimes I think if you, want to start building that portfolio and you want to have the opportunity to, to shoot something like, like a higher level of sports, then an agency is a good way to go, because that will give you a chance to get into that kind of thing and gives you a chance to grow your portfolio, right? So there's nothing wrong with agencies. Yeah, look, in an ideal world, everyone would work freelance, because then you get the you get all the income yourself, right? But at the same time, the access and the ability you have to get into events is greatly reduced, and that's where working for an agency can be really, really good, and it makes it a lot easier for you and a good experience. Can you say no? I'm not going to say that. Well, so we got Ethan. Thanks for the chat. Awesome to hear your achievement and love watching your videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Oh, you're heading off to work. Cool, Ethan. Thank you for watching, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's been good to man, good to do these live chats. I've not done these too often, right? So try to every now and again. We'll try and do them when we can. Tom, what kind of questions can we ask? Well, look, within reason, you can ask any questions you want, man. If it's inappropriate, I might have to take you out of the chat. Let's put it this way. Right, what do we got? Steve just made it. Cheers, Steve. Steve Chick. Thank you, man. Another member of our Facebook group. Really appreciate the support, Steve. Thank you, man. 10K, right? Real pleased. JC35, what's a good lens for boxing? Well, look, so I mean, I'll talk openly by saying I haven't photographed boxing, but knowing what it's like and the kind of size area you're working with, I would imagine it depends how close you're going to be. If you're going to be right there at the edge of the ring, I would say a 24-70 is probably going to be something pretty good. If you're going to be a little bit further away, I would imagine like a 70-200 might be better. In an ideal world, you'll probably have a combination of both, because you'd probably get some decent like ringside shots with something like a 24mm. Whereas if you were up a little bit and perhaps a slightly higher vantage point, something like a 70-200 would be pretty good. Who else we got? Tony, hey man, thank you. I appreciate that. Tony Hart taught me probably most of what I know about photography, Tony. So good to have him in the chat. In fact, you guys have probably seen Tony. He was on our video we did about Lightroom. Tony's the expert in Lightroom, much more so than me. Joe, how's about astrophotography? Okay. So man, look, so something which I always try and do on the channel is be honest with my knowledge. I am not an expert in astrophotography, so I won't try to give you advice on that. There are other people who can. It's something which I want to do, something which I'm going to try and have a play with at some point, and as I do, I'll probably do a video about it, sharing my experience with you guys. But I'm not an expert on it, and it would be wrong of me to kind of give too much advice on it. What you will need with a lot of night sky photography will be very long shutter speeds. So things like a remote shutter release are useful, so you don't get any kind of camera shake. A tripod will be useful, definitely. But I won't go too far into any detail beyond that, because I am not the expert. Tony, do you listen to anything on the way to a shoot? Okay, cool. Yeah. Oh man, that's a good question. So yeah, so what? It depends what type of thing I'm going to. If I'm going to just like a regular sort of shoot, like something I do all the time, like let's say the basketball. Honestly, I just tend to listen to music, like the type of music that I like. If I'm going to shoot a football game, I will almost always listen to TalkSport on the way. Couple of reasons. A, because it gives me a little bit of line of sight to maybe kind of any like team announcements, or maybe could be something like some big news that's come out, or like rumors like the manager's going to get sacked or something like that, because then that those are some of the photos that will be useful. So I listen to TalkSport if ever I'm on the way to football, because it helps me get that kind of research, helps me get that preparation. I don't do it on the way to basketball, mainly because basketball doesn't make it onto TalkSport, so I can't learn anything from that. So then I just tend to get on with the get the music on, which for me is a whole range of stuff. I like all kinds of music. Rob, you're off for now. Cool, man. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that, man. Pascal, you're off as well. God, everyone's leaving. Pascal, thank you, man. I appreciate the support. Pascal's in our Facebook group too, so thank you, man. JC35 is the one sport you wouldn't shoot, or one you wanted to shoot but haven't yet. Good question. Is there anything I wouldn't shoot? No, not necessarily. I don't think there's anything I wouldn't shoot. I mean, I don't have I don't have a strong hatred of any sports or anything like that. So I wouldn't I wouldn't refuse to do anything. But I suppose it really depends. If anybody asked me to do anything that I don't know that I felt was like morally wrong, which I suppose you could get in sports photography, but look, there are certain jobs, of course, I'd turn down. But I haven't had the need to just yet. Anything you'd want to shoot but haven't? Yeah, I'd love to shoot. So I have shot some American football, but it was just very local level. So I would love to shoot some NFL at some point. The NFL comes over here. They're doing 2 games here in London this year. They did 4 last time. Hopefully they'll do 4 next season. Probably won't be this year. I won't be doing that, mainly because I'm going to one of the games to watch as a fan. But we'll have to see. That I'd love to do that at some point. What else do we get to there? R10. What options do you have with the R6 to deliver photos? Okay. I heard the FTP option is only on the R5. Oh, okay, right. So I think you mean in terms of getting the photos from the camera directly. So for me, my workflow, because I edit myself pitch side, my workflow is going to my laptop anyway. You can you have Wi-Fi on the R6, so you could set something up with Wi-Fi to get it to your laptop. I tend to do it just by taking out the memory card and plugging the memory card in. That then goes into my Photo Mechanic, and then all of my FTP stuff is done from Photo Mechanic. So that's how I do it. You mean like the direct FTP like you can do with the 1DX, right? I think you can do that with the R5. I'm actually not 100% sure, to be totally honest with you. Joe, I usually tune into TalkSport and 5 Live. Okay. Okay, you're in Lebanon. Wow. Okay, cool, man. That's awesome. I suppose, yeah, look, radio stations now, you can get pretty much any radio station around the world, right? With digital radio. So cool, man. It's good that you listen to TalkSport. Is that just because you listen to TalkSport out there in the Lebanon, Joe, or are you like from the UK originally? It's interesting. 5 Live as well. I would have thought that's very much a UK station. I would have thought. I don't know. God, gonna lose my voice. Keeping on top of my hydration. What else we got going on? So as kind of sports events have like opened back up a little bit, getting into some more stuff now, which is good. We've got the basketball season starts up in October. Hopefully that will give us a chance to get into a lot more events. And then we've also got the football season now. Football is opening up a little bit more. So I was at Fulham. Oh dear, who was it again? Fulham Hull. I did the other week, which was nice. Good to be able to get into to those kind of things. And hopefully the amount of football that I do will open up a little bit now. Doing my academy football that you guys know that I do from the channel too, which is always good. Joe, British born with Lebanese family. Cool, man. Cool, nice. Martin, congratulations on the 10K. Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Greetings from Munich. I switched from Canon 5D3 and 4 to the R6. Oh, okay, cool, man, nice. That's interesting. So that move's quite an interesting one, right? Going from the 5D3 or 4, because obviously the 5D4 in particular, I can't quote it off the top of my head, but of course that gives you quite a decent sensor megapixel wise. So you probably would have had a bit of a drop in resolution down to the R6, right? So interesting to see how you find that. Probably depends on the type of photography you're doing, I suppose. But like I said, look, my personal view is that the 20 megapixels is enough, but I suppose it really depends. I can always trust Tony with the good questions. And so Tony's saying, do you ever have days where you just feel a little off and you're shooting below your usual standard, or other days where you feel, yeah, it's super sharp, but man, like, yeah, I really do, yeah. I normally manage to like kind of get myself through that, I suppose, but I've certainly done you know, like events where I've come away feeling like a bit like frustrated, like, oh, you know, I wasn't on my game. And it's not, quite often it's not related to the photography, it might be related to like the workflow, or you know, sometimes I just, you know, like the work. So my workflow, for you guys who are less familiar with it, is I'll take the photos, I'll get them into my laptop, I have to caption them, I crop them, I do a very, very quick edit, and I send and export them. And obviously I try and do that as quick as I can. And sometimes if that workflow has been like a bit slow, or I feel like I'm off the pace, yeah, it really annoys me. So you know, that certainly can frustrate me. Sometimes you do feel like you're doing real well, and you're, you know, super sharp, as you put it. Sometimes that's controlled by stuff that's outside of you, though, right? Like I've done football games where, you know, you get 2-3 goals and the celebrations run right towards you, and because of that you feel like, oh, this is going so well, and you got great photos. And sometimes, you know, that's great, but the opposite. If you get a game where the goal's at the other end and the celebration runs away from you and you feel frustrated, sometimes that's you know, that's tough, right? That's tough. And certainly, look, let's talk honestly, I think as all photographers, sometimes we will come away from a shoot feeling like, oh, you know, I didn't do as well as I could have done. Probably sometimes being a bit tough on ourselves, but yeah, you know, you get that feeling sometimes. You know, but even on those days, I'd like to think I still manage to get a set of photos that's good enough for the people who I'm doing it for. I just feel like it's not, you know, the best stuff that I could have done. Joe, we've also got a 600D as a backup. Okay, cool. Yeah. I've had a few issues with my 700D, so I learned to have a backup camera. Yeah, man, absolutely. It's funny, right? So I did, in my tips the other day about making money, I talked about the importance of backup cameras, right? And there were a couple of comments in there. People, oh no, backup cameras aren't necessary. You know, if your camera goes wrong, it goes wrong. And I just thought, man, like I mean, I could never imagine turning up to an event where someone was paying me to be there and not having backup cameras, and just the risk of a camera going wrong. And yeah, fine, like, I guess, you know, I think someone in the comments said like, oh, you know, you could have 10 cameras and they could all go wrong. Like, yeah, they could, but what gives you better odds? One camera going wrong or 10 cameras going wrong, right? It's like, it's a no-brainer. And, you know, I think generally with professional work at all, sports is different. Tony in the chat is a wedding photographer. Could you imagine Tony going to a wedding with one camera and then that camera going wrong? Can you imagine having that conversation with the bride? Like, oh dear. So look, people have got to make their own choice, but for me, if you're going to go do a photo job that someone has paid you to do, don't turn up with one camera. Just don't do it. That's my advice. Right, what else do we have? JC, when's the next critiquing your sports photo? Okay, cool. Yeah, man, we'll do another one of those. Yeah, we will. I want to try and do a few more of those in the Facebook group for the guys, because we've done a bit of that, and I know that's been quite interesting on the channel when all of you guys have seen it. So I will do some of those. It's funny, right? Because those videos were really popular, obviously, with the group of people and the people who submitted photos, but they weren't that successful, those videos. And you know, look, I'm not worried about every video being a banger success wise. You know, I'm happy doing videos for the core of my channel, and a lot of that is sports photographers. But you know, sometimes when those videos only get like 200 views, you think, oh, okay, well, maybe those videos aren't so popular. But I know they're important to those 200 people who watched it. So don't worry, I'm not going to forget you guys. We'll do another one of those soon. A name which I can't say in the chat says greetings from Russia. Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Tom, how do you bypass the activation lock on an iPhone SE2? Man, I've got no idea. Martin, We're okay with the 20 megapixels, though for some jobs we're going to loan an R5. Okay, cool. Yeah, so look, I guess if ever you're doing a job that needs those extra megapixels, then that's where the R5 really comes in, right? Because the R5 can kind of do everything the R6 can, and you got the big megapixel sensor. The low light performance is supposedly a bit not as good in the R5 as the R6, but I think that's marginal. So yeah. Tony can totally relate. Yeah, man, 100%. I think any photographer sometimes comes away probably being a bit tough on themselves, right? Thinking like, oh man, you know, I could have done better. Martin, you agree with me? Backup cameras, lenses, mics are totally basics for paid job. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think. Look, yeah, for me, backup gear is really important, right? Artem, have you ever experienced SD card failure with the R6? I got one on Canon R from 6-hour studio shoot, and I could overcome the pics. Oh wow, okay. So no. So look, touch wood. My table here is wood. I personally have actually never experienced an SD card failure at all. Or a CF card, actually. I've never had a memory card failure, but I know it happens, and I know people who have. So back when I was shooting my original 7D, I would just regularly change the memory cards. So if I did have one go wrong, I only would have lost a small section of photos. But now I shoot cameras with 2 memory card slots. I just save the same photos to both card slots. So, if I did have one go wrong, hopefully the other one would still be fine. Of course, there's a risk that both the memory cards could go wrong. Hopefully the risk of that happening is minimal. So we'll, fingers crossed, right? And touch wood again. Horatio, one love from Jamaica. Thank you, man. It's also, God, we got like just in the chat here, so many people from around the world, right? Really good. Crazy. That is cool. JC, why does everyone hate on Nikon? Do you say Nikon or Nikon? That's a question, right? I use Nikon D750 and love it. I haven't used any other brand. Well, look, man, I certainly don't hate on it. There's a lot of great photographers use it. Funny enough, I was sat next to a guy shooting with Nikon at the game I did the other day. I didn't see which camera body he had, but no, look, man, they use some great cameras, right? Great cameras. What's the mirrorless one they've just released called? The Z something? That's supposed to be a real good camera. The only reason I don't talk about it on my channel is because I don't use them. Same reason I don't talk about Sony or Panasonic or anything else, because I don't use them. I've always used Canon. When I first got into photography, a lot of my advice came from Tony in the chat here, who was a Canon shooter. So I just kind of got in with Canon, started using Canon, and have just kind of gone from there. So it's not like I made a Canon's the best and I'm gonna stick with Canon and none of the other brands. I've just kind of gone with Canon, and that's how it is. Angelo, I missed this. What, me doing live sessions? Cool, thank you, man. Martin, D750 is a great all-round camera. Yeah, man. So although I say I don't know much about Nikon, I have heard about the D750, and yeah, I believe it really is a good all-round camera. Oh, I need some more of this drink. It's funny, if you go live for an hour or so, you don't realize how much you just talk the whole time. Your voice goes so quick. Oh. So yeah, I've got a few other events coming up. What am I doing over the course of the next few days? I've got some football on Saturday that I'm going to be doing. I've got... I can't think what I got next week. In fact, next week I'm going away for a few days. So I'm away. I'm with the family from Monday to the following weekend, which will be nice. Really looking forward to a trip. Going to have that going on. There's going to be still a video for you guys. Don't worry. I've filmed it already. That's going to go live on Friday next week for you guys. So you'll see that one. Got a few other things going too. So let's have a look. So, so you guys, I mean, you guys can see it in the chat. Tony's saying when Rob was starting out, I was a Canon shooter. Spent a fair bit of time lamenting them and putting in Nikon. So yeah, and look, as you know, it's not just a Tony thing, right? Pretty much every photographer, I think, is always looking at the other systems. I remember when Sony first started coming out with the mirrorless cameras, you would see a lot of, I say a lot, some sports shooters would be there with the Sony gear, and you think, oh, look at that, it looks good, and you found yourself pining after you know, the Sony gear. And then, you know, a lot of photographers started thinking, oh, you know, Canon are just, you know, over the last, well, probably the last like 4 years, Canon have just been a bit slow and painful when it comes to the gear they're putting out. And you know, people I know have an opinion that Canon like deliberately you know, nerf their gear in compared to how good it could be, so that the next camera and the next camera are constant upgrades. And yeah, look, there's an element to that with every product anywhere, I suppose, but I would say over the last 12 months that Canon has probably, you know, really started to push the boundary of what they're doing. And the R5 was certainly a game changer. I know there's all the faff about it overheating, but really, you know, look, the R5 is a crazy good camera. And the R6 has certainly been a game changer for me. I think the R7 will be a game changer in terms of like an affordable camera for people. I say affordable, I know like £1,500 or whatever it will be is not cheap, but that will give a very capable sports camera to people who have a budget, who want to go shoot their kids or local sports, and that would be really good. Everything I've read about the R3, and I've pretty much shared everything I've read about it on my channel, really does, you know, suggest that R3 is going to be an incredible camera. I think it's probably going to be more of a sports action specific camera. I can't imagine, you know, portrait wedding photographers who are using the R5. I can't imagine many of them necessarily will go for the R3, because I don't think it's going to offer enough versus the money difference. Because let's not be silly about it, that R3 is going to have a crazy price point, which terrifies me in terms of what the R1 price point will be. And what's that, you know, all the rumors about the R3, what is the R1 going to do or have that the R3 won't? That's where it gets crazy, right? Probably going to be the sensor, because there's a lot of talk now that R3 might have a 20 megapixel sensor, so we'll see. Angelo, I'm doing football in 2 hours and 2 games tomorrow. Cool, man. Nice. Good. I'm guessing you're not in the UK, man, because in 2 hours it will be nearly midnight. I'm guessing you're somewhere else. Tony, congrats on the success of the channel. Thank you, man. Thank you. Any plans to go 100% mirrorless? So look, plans to go 100% mirrorless? Yeah, definitely. At some point in the future, I will go 100% mirrorless, as I imagine most of us will eventually. But if you mean like right now, no, not necessarily. I think for me, if the R7 is very capable, then I could easily see myself pairing like an R7 with an R6. But I probably even then would still have the 1DX as like my third camera, you know, for my remotes and stuff like that, and probably then replace what, in fact, is right here, my 7D2, which is currently my third camera. I've got this here because I used this in a video earlier on. I filmed a few videos for you guys today. So yeah, at some point I'll go mirrorless. I'm sure I will, but I'm not like rushing to do it. Joe, I hope to visit England next year for the women's, yeah, so the women's Euros football and the Commonwealth Games, right, in Birmingham. Both 2 events that I really would love to be a part of photography-wise. So, man, if I do manage that and you're there doing it too, Joe, make sure you say hello. We'll get a coffee or something, eh? Angelo, I have the R6, but I'm staying with the 1DX Mark 1. Not sure why. Well, man, 'cause it's a great camera, right? So most of my work now, well, pretty much all my work, I have the R6 and the 1DX. Those are my two cameras. I tend to do the R6 on my 400mm lens, my 1DX on my 70 to 200. The only real reason why I do that specific setup is because I still have not bought the battery grip for the R6 and the 1DX, which is right here. The 1DX of course has the grip so that I can just rotate real easy, which when I'm using the 70 to 200 I like the ability to quickly rotate. When I'm using my R6, which is somewhere over there, so I'll use the 72 to demonstrate, when I go portrait I have to go over the top like this. And look, I have no problem, I'm not precious about going like this, but it's just more difficult, right? So I tend to use the 1DX with my 70 to 200. Martin started with Canon analog in the mid-90s and went on to Canon digital. Cool, yeah. Sony never catched me, although Fuji and Olympus are besides Canon like old school brands. Okay, cool, yeah. So I've got a couple of old Olympus cameras up here on the shelf actually, and an old Pentax as well. So my great uncle was he was a real good photographer actually. Landscape was the main thing that he liked to do, but he used a lot of Olympus cameras and Pentax as well, and he left some of those to me. So I've got some Olympus and Pentax film cameras. You can't, in fact, you guys can't quite see them. They're just out the top of the frame here. But you guys would have seen them in the background of some of my videos on the shelf. Terry, how you doing, Terry? I've gone from the 70 Mark II 90D to the 1DX Mark II to the R6 RF 100 500. Yeah, so that combination, right? That's where some of these cameras are. So I mean, the R6, if you pair the R6 with an RF 100 to 500, I mean, the versatility that gives you is crazy. And a lot of you guys would have seen I did a video where I used the 100-400 Canon lens, and the versatility that gave me. I shot a whole football game with it. And so if you've got something like the R6, which is great in low light, and you pair that with 100 to 500, then, I mean, you're set to cover just about anything. You know, yeah, great, you know, the 2.8 and stuff like that. You don't get the f2.8 with that 100 500. But that said, you know, the low light capability with the R6 is so good. Just whack up the ISO levels and crack on. Such good versatility. Angelo, God, you see what I mean about my voice. Started with the Olympus, love the new Olympus cameras. Okay, yeah. Olympus, what? As in Olympus have nothing that works with low light sports? Okay, yeah. Yeah, Olympus aren't kind of the top of the market for sports cameras, are they? No. Mark, there he is. Mark's back in the chat. So Mark he's had his hands on an R5 before, whereas I have not. The R5 is great for FTP, as it also has voice tagging. Yeah. Unlike the 5D4, yeah. So basically, the 1D series, you can voice tag photos, right? So what that basically means is you can add a voice tag to a file. And where that's really useful for sports is if you are sending photos to someone else to edit them, or even to yourself to edit them later, adding a voice tag is really useful. The situation that I find it most useful is if you can't quite tell the number of the player in the photo. And if you're going to caption photos, knowing the number of the player can be really important. So sometimes you might take a photo, you can't quite make out the guy's number, so you add a voice tag that says like, that's number 7, and then when you upload your photos into Photo Mechanic, you have an option to play that voice tag back to you. You know, when you go, oh, which number is that? You press, oh, that's number 7, and you can caption your photo. So that's where the 1D series are really useful. You can do it with the R5 there, by the sounds of it. You'll definitely better do it with the R3. but it isn't something that you can do with the R6, which is a problem, but it's not really a problem that I have, because I edit my own photos, so I don't tend to use the voice tags too much at the moment. Tim, thank you, Mark. Yeah, there you go. Look, Mark's helping out with answering the questions that I can't ask. That's what we like. So guys, we've been going for an hour already. So look, any more questions, fire them in the chat. I'll try and get through them, but probably in sort of 10 minutes or so we'll probably round off, I reckon. You guys don't want to be sat listening to me for 2 hours. So any questions you got, whack them in there. I'll try and get through them in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, and then we'll probably round off. Whoa. So yeah, I said I've been busy today, right? What did I film today? I filmed 2 videos today, and I edited another one, but not one of those 2. So I edited one that I'd filmed yesterday, probably about halfway through the edit on that. That's the big thing with YouTube, right? And you guys who've made YouTube videos before will know, editing the video is so much of the work. It's a lot more work to edit and produce the video than it is to film the video. And so today I spent a chunk of time editing the video that I filmed yesterday, probably about halfway through it. And then this evening, I filmed 2 other videos. So I've got 3 videos in the pipeline for you guys, which is really good for me. I'm not normally that far ahead. I regularly will film and edit a video Wednesday, Thursday for you guys to see it Friday. But because I'm away next week, I'm trying to get ahead of the game, and trying to get a few videos ahead. So I've got 3 videos in the bank right now, and we'll see how they come. Hang on, my screen just froze there for a minute, so let me just get that back. There we go. Renee, do you consider yourself as a good sports photographer? Man, that's a question, right? So look, yeah, look, I'm not gonna say no. Yeah, I do. I consider myself to be a good sports photographer. I think, look, there are a lot of sports photographers who are better than me, like a lot. Just because I go on YouTube and talk about it doesn't mean that I'm claiming to be the best. I'm just somebody who will go on YouTube and share their knowledge. But there are sports photographers who are a lot better than me, yes. But do I think I'm all right? Yeah, I think I'm all right. I've produced some images that I'm very proud of. So yeah, I think I'm a good sports photographer. Terry. Absolutely, the low light capabilities outweigh the 7.1 at Mac. Okay, cool. So Terry's talking about that 100-500 lens, right? I also use a 1.4 converter, which seems to use nothing. Okay. Yeah. So, and again, right. So when you're using that converter, autofocus wise, if you've got like a 1.4 converter on a 500mm lens, and the autofocus is good, I mean that's so versatile, right? I mean, what would that be? Like a 800mm lens equivalent, something like that, 700mm lens equivalent. That's crazy. So versatile, right? Camera gear is getting insane nowadays. Joe, it's already midnight. Here I am, not going anywhere. So Joe's saying he'd stick around for another hour. Go on, Joe. I appreciate that. It's already midnight, so you're 2 hours ahead of us, right? It's 10 o'clock here. Nice. I can't go forever, man. We'll do do a little bit longer, but yeah, I'll have to drop off at some point soon. Oh, so yeah, got those couple of videos coming up. I won't give away too much. I've done a video that's kind of linked to the 10,000 subscribers thing. I've got a video coming about the R7. Angelo's saying my dream remains the R7. My dream remains the R7 with the 100-500. Yeah, that R7 with the 100-500 will give you a lot of reach and some real good versatility. Renee's saying with a converter, the quality goes down very much. Well, not necessarily very much. Yeah, look, it certainly goes down. But you know, look, I've used a 1.4 converter on a 400 mm before. I tend to find that I need to shoot, you know, with a, so I tend to shoot more like f8, something like that. But you know, it's not, it doesn't go off a huge amount. You're just saying in the chat too much in your opinion. Yeah, look, and I get that, right? You certainly, I wouldn't like. So I've been asked before, could you use a 70 to 200 with a converter? You know, like more. Or could you use that in place of like a 300 or 400 mil? And I would say no, because the quality does reduce to the extent that you wouldn't want that as your main shooting option. And you're saying with the 500 mil, yeah. So yeah, I see that definitely, but you can still get some good results with it. You know, you really can. Tony says, cheers, man. Great Q. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, man. I appreciate you being involved in the chat. Good questions as well. You might win the prize for the best questions in the chat, man. Thank you. Cool. Right. I'll do another minute or so, guys. Go on. If you want to get in, if you want to be the last question on the video, go on, stick it in there. I should say, I will go back through the chat, and because I'm conscious that as it keeps flicking, I might have missed some questions. So if there's anything I've missed, I will try and go back and answer it afterwards. Let me just jump. I'm just going to jump into the live chat again and see. I went back to the top chat because it hid all the spam when I just did the top chat. But let me have a look and see if there's anything else I missed. What else did we have in there? Oh no, I think I got most of you guys. I think I got most of you. If I missed out anything, then sorry about that. Renee edits a lot of photos. Cool, man. Okay, cool. So it sounds like you've had a lot of experience using the you know, seeing photos coming out of that converter. So man, it sounds like that's a like a valid opinion. So that quality reduces a bit, hey? Cool, man. Too many photos, they're not sharp enough. Okay, cool. Right, yeah, makes sense. Terry, thanks for the great Q&A, Rob. Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, look, I intend on keeping up the videos, right? I'm going to try and keep one a week going for you guys. I set myself a goal, which I shared with the Patreon guys, the Facebook page guys, of trying to make. I've got it written down over here. I think I said 80 videos. So my plan was to try and make 80 videos this year, which we're on track for. I'm actually slightly ahead of that. Not ahead of 80, but ahead of being on track to get 80 videos. So we'll see how we go. That's the plan. But yeah, I'm going to keep them coming every week. Definitely. Joe saying on game day, I created this sack to cover the lens from the rain. I'm probably the only photographer to continue shooting on a wet day. Yeah, so I had to shoot in the rain on Saturday, just gone. I hate shooting in the rain. I really do hate it. But yeah, I had to do it in the rain. I've got rain covers and all sorts, because sometimes you have to, right? And you've got to be prepared for when that rain comes down. Cool, right. Guys, I think we probably are just about there. So look, I'm going to round off by saying, thank you very much, right? It's crazy that we had 10,000 subscribers on this channel. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate each and every one of the 10,000 people. You know, and I will carry on making videos that hopefully you guys will enjoy. If I didn't get to your question, or if perhaps you're watching this afterwards when it's not live, this will appear as a video on my channel. Make sure you comment on it and I will come back and I will try and answer those questions. I'll make a point of really keeping up with the comments on this video because it's a Q&A, and so I will try to come back in and answer all the questions. I try to respond to every comment on my regular videos. Sometimes it's hard because as the channel grows, I get more and more comments, and sometimes I struggle to keep up with every single one. But I do try. And I'll make sure I come back to this video and answer any questions that appear in the comments. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't already. If you're watching the video and you haven't hit that like button, go for it. Hit the like button now. I'm going to say make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hopefully you have already subscribed if you're watching my Q&A. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you very much. I'm going to see you guys on the next video. which will be, where are we now? So we're Thursday night. So I've kind of done this in place of tomorrow's video. So there won't be a video tomorrow, but there'll definitely be a video next week, 100%, and then probably 2 the week after that. So you guys have got some good videos coming soon. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you all soon. Thank you very much.